The football world was struck with sadness on Tuesday, September 23, 2025, when former Cincinnati Bengals running back Rudi Johnson passed away at the age of 45. Authorities shared that his death was the result of taking his own life. The news brought grief across the NFL community, as friends, teammates, and fans tried to process the loss of a player known for his toughness on the field and his kindness away from it. Among the first to react was Chad Johnson, widely known as Chad Ochocinco, who had played side by side with Rudi during the Bengals' rise in the early 2000s. Chad wrote simply, "R.I.P. Rudi Johnson," a short message that carried enormous weight. Sometimes grief leaves little room for words, and Chad's brief statement reflected just how deeply he felt the loss of his former teammate and close friend. Rudi and Chad entered the NFL together as members of the Bengals' 2001 draft class, a group that helped bring hope to a franchise searching for stability. Along with defensive end Justin Smith and wide receiver T.J. Houshmandzadeh, they became the backbone of a Bengals team that moved from years of struggle to renewed competitiveness. Their friendship, forged in the intensity of training camps and game days, lasted well beyond their time in the league. Rudi Johnson's football story was one built on determination. Drafted in the fourth round out of Auburn, he quickly showed he could be more than a backup. From 2001 to 2007, he rushed for 5,142 yards and scored 48 touchdowns with the Bengals. His best year came in 2004, when he ran for 1,154 yards and 12 touchdowns, earning a well-deserved Pro Bowl selection. He was not a player defined by highlight reel runs. Instead, he was defined by consistency, power, and a willingness to carry the load when his team needed him most. One game stands out in memory. In 2003 against the Houston Texans, Cincinnati was desperate for a win. With Corey Dillon sidelined, Rudi carried the ball 43 times for 182 yards, powering the Bengals to a 34-27 victory. Local broadcaster Mo Egger recalled, "It felt like he lugged it on every down the final few drives. He was essentially the entire Bengals offense that day." That performance became the perfect symbol of Rudi's career: steady, relentless, and reliable. For Chad Johnson, Rudi was more than just a teammate. Chad was the entertainer, the wide receiver who celebrated touchdowns with bold dances and playful antics. Rudi was the balance: quiet, steady, and focused. Together, they represented two sides of the Bengals' personality, and their bond reflected the deep respect that players develop for one another in the grind of professional football. Tributes poured in from other former teammates. Longtime Bengals kicker Shane Graham wrote that he was absolutely heartbroken, describing Rudi as one of his favorite teammates and a friend long after their playing days ended. Former Bengals assistant coach Cliff Marshall added, "One of my favorite players to coach." Even Bengals owner Mike Brown shared his sorrow, saying, "Rudi was a fine person and an excellent running back for us. He was dependable and productive as a player, and very popular among his teammates. We are deeply saddened by his passing." After 7 seasons in Cincinnati, Rudi closed his career with the Detroit Lions in 2008, finishing an 8-year run in the NFL. But his influence stretched beyond the field. In 2005, he created the Rudi Johnson Foundation, designed to support children and families through community programs. His efforts showed the same determination that marked his playing style. He wanted to give back, and he followed through. The news of his passing at such a young age has left many reflecting not only on his football legacy, but also on the unseen challenges that can weigh on athletes long after the stadium lights go out. While his cause of death has been reported, those who knew him have chosen to focus on his life, his generosity, and his character. The tributes from Chad Johnson and so many others are reminders that behind the jerseys and the numbers are people, with stories that stretch far beyond the field. For fans, Rudi Johnson will always be remembered for the way he ran, with power, grit, and a refusal to give up. For Chad Johnson, the memory goes deeper. It is about the bond they shared from the first day they were drafted, through practices, victories, and defeats, and into the years after football. Chad's brief but heartfelt message captured the kind of grief that words cannot fully explain. Social media has been filled with memories from fans across the country. Many spoke of his fearless running style, others of his humility, and others still of the impact he made through his foundation. Each story added another piece to the larger picture of a man who left an undeniable mark on those around him. As the Bengals organization and the wider football community continue to mourn, one truth stands above all. Rudi Johnson's legacy lives on. He will be remembered not only for his rushing yards and touchdowns, but also for his character, his dedication to his teammates, and his work in the community. Rudi Johnson's story is not just about football. It is about perseverance, friendship, and impact. He may no longer be here, but through the memories of Chad Johnson, his teammates, his family, and the countless fans who admired him, his spirit will remain. And in that way, Rudi Johnson will never be forgotten.